Phones are becoming cheaper to buy. Just look around and you'll see several new ones under $200. As for sub $100 phones, you might have a tougher time, but ZTE believes that its new Z Max Pro is going to be the benchmark to beat. The first order of business with design is its size, something that's arguably going to be the biggest deal breaker for people. This is a big phone, one that pushes it well into the phablet category. Unless you have larger than average hands, you're going to be finding yourself stretching your fingers a whole lot. Besides that, it has a pleasant design that makes it look and feel that it's priced higher. You have a soft touch matte finish with the rear combined with a faux metal bezel, and this combo pushes it beyond the context of being cheaply made. And that's a good thing because normally you tend to find phones in this price range to be poorly constructed and just inferior with their designs. The phone is slapped with a giant 6-inch 1080p TFT LCD display with Gorilla Glass 3. Yeah, it's nice that they opted to go with 1080p resolution, just because we'd normally see 720p in other phones. It's sufficiently detailed, plus there's a ton of real estate to work with. However, it has an extremely cold color temperature of 8000 Kelvin, which makes whites appear bluish in tone. It's also not color accurate. You can see in the sRGB color chart how it misses the reference values for each color, like how magenta and teal are heavily influenced by blue. And despite reaching a peak brightness output of 460 nits, the display just seems to have a washed out tone. Now, in my testing, it's obvious that the display here with the ZTE Z Max Pro isn't quite up to snuff to the type of results we tend to see with some of the higher priced smartphones out there, but then again, are we surprised by this? It's no surprise that there's a Snapdragon 617 chip and 2GB of RAM in this. This combo makes perfect sense and it suffices with the basic stuff. But it's really not suited to do things that are more intensive, gaming in particular, where it exhibits too much choppiness to enjoy for hardcore gamers. For $99, you get 32GB of internal storage with expansion via its micro SD slot. You also have the fingerprint sensor in the back of the phone. It's an unexpected treat, quite honestly, since it's uncommon in entry-level phones. It works well in adding that extra layer of security, but can also be programmed to open up an app, take a photo, or even answer a phone call. There are 3 capacitive buttons beneath the display. Unfortunately, the 2 dots flanking the home button can't be programmed for anything else besides acting as the back and recent apps functions. And finally, we have the speaker grill in the back. It emits a decent volume output, but there isn't much substance when listening to music. So for me, the single most underrated part about the handset has to be the battery life. There's a 3500 milliamp hour battery cell in there, and I gotta say, I'm impressed. It managed to get me at least 2 days of normal juice from a full charge, and it got to the beginning of a 3rd day, but by then it was pretty much gone. And the recharge time is actually pretty good for given its size. Now, it's at 125 minutes with the new USB Type-C connection. It's not the fastest, but then again, it's not the slowest either. For its cameras, the combo here with the ZTE Z Max Pro is a 13 megapixel rear camera and a 5 megapixel front-facing one. There's nothing fanciful about them, seeing they're just as ordinary as any other low-price phone. The camera app has a decent mixture of modes and options, like its manual mode, which people will probably appreciate having in a phone like this. Sadly, there's nothing spectacular about their performances. You tend to see a noticeable level of over-sharpening, which seems to try and compensate for the rear camera's softer details captured. Under low light, details become even more speckled. And the same can be said about its video capture. Over-sharpening is again evident, but this time, videos tend to appear underexposed, and there's just too much noise and muddy details to recommend using. Purists will love that the Z Max Pro is mostly running a stock experience, Android 6.0.1 Marshmallow to be exact. Yes, there's some bloatware from Metro PCS, but it's pretty straightforward for the most part. Power users will probably feel that it won't be up to snuff with their demands, just because you won't find any other enhanced features here. The biggest question with the phone, much like most budget stuff, is whether or not it'll get upgraded to the next version of Android in a timely manner. Phone calls are a breeze with this one. You have a loud volume output with its earpiece and speakerphone, while voices sound clear and distinctive. On the other end of the line too, our callers didn't have any problems discerning our voices. Owning a cheap phone no longer means you're getting a cheap phone. The $99 price tag of the ZTE Z Max Pro is without a doubt an aggressive move on its part, especially more given its phablet-esque stature and its fingerprint sensor. You tend to not expect them in a phone in its price range, but that's the beauty about it. You do get them. While pricing is quite favorable here, there are some other factors that will influence your decision to buy. First of all, this is strictly a Metro PCS exclusive. This is arguably a factor that will be limiting its reach to consumers. And secondly, there are still some subpar qualities about it, like the inaccuracies with the display and the over-sharpening effects with its cameras. These are compromises that can be overlooked due to its price point. At the end of the day, it's a worthy recommendation if you're on a tight budget. So yeah, it's pretty crazy that we have phones now with fingerprint sensors at under $100. So if you guys want to learn more about the ZTE Z Max Pro, you could check out our website, androidauthority.com. This is John V, signing off.